Dobra. Teraz.
Day 4 of Gamescom Studio is here. Coming up today, brand new gameplay and deep dives into the hottest upcoming games.
Who the f*** are you?
Stalker 2, Where Winds Meet, Ghost Runner 2, and tons more. Gamescom Studio live on IGN kicks off right now.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Day 4 of Gamescom Studio, powered by IGN. I'm Max Scoville.
And I'm Stella Chun. Yesterday, things got pretty wild during the Gamescom Awards ceremony, and today we have a pretty packed schedule of game demos, interviews, and cool stuff from out on the show floor.
And I'm David Hatfield. Here's a look at what's coming up. In just a minute, we've got Where Winds Meet,
Tak jest.
massive open world RPG
To jest
set
to.
launch in China. Then Ghost Runner 2, which gets even more cyberpunk by adding a sick motorcycle. After that, we're squaring off with the creators of Tekken 8 and monkeying around in Black Myth Wukong.
If you ever want up-to-the-minute info about what's happening at Gamescom, follow the official Gamescom accounts on social media, Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, YouTube, Twitch. Gamescom is everywhere. So, you can also check out now.ign. Whoa, not IGN, Gamescom. You can go there to check out all the Gamescom news as well.
That's also where you can find out more about some of the great causes that Gamescom is involved with. The Gamescom Cares platform is for Gamescom, its exhibitors, and partners come together to work on events and campaigns that address important issues like education, diversity, environmental protection, and aid for those in need.
I know that's a lot of info to dump on you, so thanks for bearing with us. Now, let's check in with what's going out on the show floor.
It is day 4 of Gamescom 2023, and we have tons of exciting stuff lined up for you. Some of the bigger games to note include Lies of P. I'm very excited for you to see what we have lined up. Lies of P is coming to everything, basically, but it's also coming day 1 on Game Pass, so don't forget to check it out there like I will be if you have an Xbox and a Game Pass membership. Now, Black Myth Wukong was also here on the show floor. The lines are absolutely crazy, but we got hands-on time with Black Myth Wukong. Myself and Matt Furslow got to play it, and we love it. I can't wait for you to see what we have to show you here from the show floor, from our hands-on time. And last but not least, I had to go all the way to the other side of the building to play Path of Exile 2. When I saw it was here, I knew I had to try it out, and it was awesome. So more on that coming in the moments to come on day 4 here at Gamescom. For more on all things gaming, just stay right here. You're already in the right place. We got you.
Oh man, now I want to go explore. Stella, want to go walk around and show off our matchy-matchies?
Oh my god, yeah, actually, we got the cat shirts, so absolutely, let's go
Cool.
show these off. And while we're out there, why don't you check out Where Winds Meet, which looks like it'll involve plenty of exploring too. That's coming up next, right here on Gamescom Studio.
We really need to plan this wardrobe better. Welcome back to Gamescom Studio, powered by IGN. Now, Where Winds Meet is the massive new open-world, sword-fighting, ass-kicking martial arts game from Everstone Studio, and it looks absolutely awesome. Here to break it all down for me is Chris McDavitt, lead designer on Where Winds Meet. Hi.
Hello.
So every time I see this game, it seems like there's more and more to do. It's almost overwhelming in a really good way. What kind of experience are you making with Where Winds Meet? What is the overall goal here?
就是咱们的这个游戏，每一次就是我看到的时候，都会有一些新的变化，有一些新的内容加进去。那我们希望这个游戏能达成什么样的一个目标，能够给玩家提供什么样的一种体验呢？
我们的游戏其实是一个开放世界，基于中国武侠背景的开放世界 RPG 的游戏。那么我们游戏的整个的背景是在唐朝末期，是古代中国的唐朝末期。宋初之间的这段时间，那么这是一个非常混乱无序的时代，那么玩家将会扮演一个少年的侠客，去闯入这个世界，去探索这个世界，在这个世界里面，学到不同的技能，逐渐的成长，同时去发现自己的身世，发现这个世界的真相。那么
O kurde, czasoprzestrzeń
We're
pochlastał?
basically an open world RPG game based on Chinese ancient history. So the story begins after the Chinese Tang Dynasty and before the Song Dynasty. So this is basically one of the most chaotic and dark period of time in Chinese history. The player will be playing a young swordsman in the game who will be exploring the world, develop his technique, his martial arts skill, grow his know more about his mysterious or hidden identity in this world.
The world is gigantic. It's absolutely massive. Can you tell us a little about the general sort of world design here? I mean, we're seeing flying, we're seeing running around and stuff like that. What was the scope with building this world?
就是咱们的世界其实看上去非常的大，因为是一个开放世界嘛。那咱们就是建设这个开放世界的时候，其实花费了多少的时间精力这样子呢？
我们其实已经研发了有3年半的时间，然后确实开放世界是一个非常大的挑战，因为需要大家一起去做很多样事情。
Naprawdę mogliby coś innego pokazać, kurde, a nie tylko latanie, kurde, ten w powietrzu.
使用一些中国传统的武术，使用中国传统的武器之外，还可以去做很多不同的玩法比如说探索，比如说采集，比如说
Niby spoko, ale no jakiś kombacik, kurde.
去学习中医药相关的技能他们可以抓马可以去撸猫撸狗。可以钓鱼，然后可以在世界里建造，所以
No widać, że tutaj ładnie wyrenderowane, ale jak chcę
We've
gameplay.
been working on this for over 3.5 years. It is a huge challenge to do an open world game, and for example, we're developing our combat system with martial arts and Chinese traditional weapons, and we are also offering lots of models for players to explore the world and enjoy the game. For example, a Chinese traditional medicine system in which you get to collect herbs and develop your own medicine and cure disease or cure injuries. Or you can go fishing in the game. We have a pet system. You get to pet your dogs or cats in the game. We have a construction system. You can build bridges, towers, all sorts of different buildings in the game. So basically, you can do it all.
So you've been very busy then. Yeah. We're seeing some mounts right now, horses. You talked about fishing. One of my favorite things that we saw so far are some of the other animals. There's a bear that screams at you and you catch it in a jar and throw it back at him. There's geese that you chase around. There's like some animal comedy in this game. Tell me about how that came together.
Okay.
就是咱们会在游戏里面看到，就是像是坐骑啊这种东西，然后包括他会看到有一只熊，然后咱们跟它战斗，然后用太极把它扔得很远，然后包括咱们会看到鹅，然后就是跟鹅到处乱跑，然后这种跟动物相关的这种就是有趣的这种体验，咱们在一开始设计的时候是怎么样的一个想法呢？
这里其实有2个核心的想法，第一个想法就是我们想在游戏里还原一个非常自然的生态，基于我们中国古代的这样的一个背景，这是第一个想法。
What?
So basically, we have 2 ideas,
Okay.
2 inspirations here. So the first one would be that we want to sort of bring back the ancient China environment to our audience,
To nie umie, to
to
chyba
our
coś na streamie
players,
jest, żeby nie było.
and try to ask them to enjoy the game while sharing this kind of interesting experience and environment, natural environment with them, in which the animals would be a huge part in it.
对，然后第2个想法是。我们希望把这部分自然生态的内容跟中国的传统武术结合起来。
Gęsi, jakie kurde damage robią, lol.
太极就是中国的一个非常有趣的martial art，它可以把一个速度特别快的一个动物用某种方式扔出去、甩出去，甚至用这个东西去攻击其他的敌人我们觉得这是一个非常有趣的东西，也没有在其他游戏里见过，所以我们就把它做到游戏里。
So the second thing is we're trying to combine the animal aspect with our martial arts. So for example, what you can see in the game, the Tai Chi is actually a very classical Chinese martial arts skill in which you can sort of lift the heavy things with just a little power using your skill.
Lol.
And also we're trying to also combine a lot of the like mimicking animals into our martial arts skills. For example, you can mimic like a lion roar. We have that sort of skill, or like a snake, like mimic a snake as a martial art.
All right. One last thing I wanted to ask you about is the
Xbox się nie zawiesił.
Now, we saw you can, you know, kind of borrow ideas from animals in the world. You can bother a bear while it's sleeping, which was very rude. But what sort of like combat do you learn over time, like in terms of weapons and interacting with enemies and stuff like that?
他是问一下，咱们就是因为也能咱们是提武器或者是那个就是武术的这种方式，然后他是想问咱们在这个过程之中能学到怎么样的一些武术的一些技巧，在那个战斗上面能够学到一些怎么样的一些技巧，就咱们的战斗系统基本上是怎么工作的？
对我简单介绍我们的战斗系统，其实有3个主要的 feature， 主要的 point。第一个就是因为中国武术里面有各种各样不同的武器，传统武器，我们希望把这些传统武器在游戏里还原出来，让玩家能够感受到中国传统武器的不同的特点和差异然后这是第一点。
So basically there are 3 ideas here. So the first one would be the weapon system. So we have a gigantic weapon system in which we want to sort of bring back to life what's in the traditional Chinese weapon, and we want to try our best to deliver its differences and its features and like the variety of them to our players.
对，第二点是我们希望能够把中国传统的武术去还原到游戏里比如刚刚其实已经提到的一些基于仿生学、基于我们叫形意的这样的一些东西，有点像大家可能在之前的一些影视作品里看到 Jackie 他的那些武术像刚刚说的狮吼功之类的武术还原到游戏里。
And the second thing we want to put in the combat system is our Chinese traditional martial arts. And we offer lots of options in terms of martial arts skills. For example, the ones that I mentioned earlier, like the animal stance. So this one you can basically see in a lot of Jackie Chan movie, and I think Western audience will be very familiar with those.
对，第三点是我们希望能够让玩家在这么多的中国传统的武术里选择自己喜欢的，然后搭配自己的 build 在不同的环境下可以用不同的这样的一些传统的技艺去战胜敌人。
So the first thing is that we'd like to offer players the choice of different weapons and different martial arts, the combination of those two, and to allow them to utilize those skills and weapons, the combination of the skills and weapons to resolve puzzles or to deal with different environments.
Cool. Well, Where Winds Meet looks fantastic. Thank you so much for coming today. We will have lots more coverage of this gorgeous, really fun, insane
Nie tylko latanie, ale chodzenie też jest.
on IGN, so keep it locked.
Okay.
We've got lots more Gamescom Studio ahead right here, so don't go anywhere. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey everybody, Seth Macy at the Xbox booth. We are right outside Stalker 2 Heart of Chernobyl. I am with Destin Legary. Destin, you played Stalker 2.
I sure did. It was the first game I went to, and they just let me in to play it. I was very surprised. I will say this. The gameplay still seems a little bit early. Like, they definitely have a lot of polish to do.
Okay.
And if you're new to the Stalker franchise, just a heads up, this game is difficult. There's inventory management in the style of a game like Escape from Tarkov, if you're familiar with it. And the AI, I saw some YouTubers out there saying that the AI seems a little easy.
Okay.
It was not easy. They'll flank you, they'll rush you, and I really enjoyed the experience, but I had to reset my expectations about what Stalker is. So if you're a Stalker fan that has been playing the game since the beginning, you're gonna get exactly what you wanted.
Okay.
Yeah.
What surprised you during your time here with Stalker 2?
Well, I don't know if it's a surprise. One thing I really enjoyed was it opens you up, it gives you the bolt, and you can throw it at anomalies. And yes, you can still jump through them. As a matter of fact, it seems like they're leaning into that mechanic. So you throw your bolt out, have the anomaly discharge, and then you rush through it to get past that hurdle, so to speak. A very interesting mechanic that's utilized early on, and then they just kind of send you out into the open world. You fight some mutant dogs, and you're constantly worried about ammo management because one reload could mean life or death for your character.
So it's a tense experience.
It definitely is. It's definitely not an easy game. You're going to need to be mindful of your inventory, how many bullets you have in your particular weapon, and how you're utilizing the gear that you have. Constantly loot everybody, make sure that you're getting the best gear that you have, dispose of the old stuff. As far as I can tell, no, you cannot pick up a body and use it as a carrying bag, so to speak.
That's a big miss.
Yeah, not really. But I'm actually more excited about Stalker 2 than I was before.
Oh yeah?
Because
Okay, cool.
I really like those type of experiences where it's almost a sim, right? There's stamina that you have to manage, there's health that you have to manage. Seems to be a sleep indicator where you're going to have to rest at certain parts of the game, and I just cannot wait to see more.
Nice.
One last thing. So near the end of the demo, what we saw was the cloud, the sky went red, and it was very crazy, like some crazy sort of storm. And I wasn't quite sure what was happening, so I just went into cover.
To może być niezły tytuł do ogrania.
All of that stuff that I experienced, it's just like the first few minutes of the game. So
Kiedy
attacked
wychodzi
by a
generalnie?
big pack of wild dogs. These people that want to murder me just start swarming me, and they were doing quite
2-4.
well. To be fair, I did throw a grenade at them as soon
Byśmy
as I
musieli się zastanowić
realized
nad
they were
przejściem
opponents. And
pierwszej części razem z dodatkami, ale gdzieś tam pewnie na modach, bo to gra jest stara na jakiś świat,
a
kurde,
game
nie?
like Call of Duty would throw at you. This is not Call of Duty. Think more Escape from Tarkov, or if you're a Stalker fan who's flaming me in the comments, it's probably exactly what you want. It seems like more Stalker to me.
All right, cool.
So I think people are gonna like it when they play it.
How does the gunplay feel?
It feels good.
Yeah.
Like guns work as expected. They can actually malfunction, it would seem. We've seen that in some of the trailers where it seems like some of the guns can have issues that you'll have to deal with. So there are a lot of different aspects to Stalker 2 that I think will be overwhelming for new fans, but if you embrace them and try and learn them, I think you're gonna have a great time.
All right. Anything else we need to know about Stalker 2?
You need to play it.
Okay.
Definitely. I have the original games installed on my PC. Now I need to make time and go play video games.
Should I play them as someone who maybe isn't that great at managing his own life?
Yes. All the more reason.
Sweet. Well, that's Stalker 2, Destin. Sound like you had a great time. Thanks so much for talking to us about it. We are at the Xbox booth at Gamescom. This is day one. For more Gamescom, don't even think about leaving IGN.
Chciałem powiedzieć dzień pierwszy?
A list so secretive even we don't know what movies are on it or where they rank.
What do you mean you don't know?
Each episode will reveal one of the movies.
Did I rush it? Felt like I rushed.
No to reklamy jak zwykle. Możemy skipnąć.
Exile 2 is here at Game. Path of Exile 2 is here at Gamescom, and the big focus for the team seems to be showing off the Druid. Joining us today is game director Jonathan Rogers, and Chris, you're here too.
Surprise.
Surprise! It's really, really good to see you. Look, Path of Exile 2 seems to be getting a lot of new player interest, myself included. You know, I've been playing a lot of Diablo 4, and then Path is just doing a lot of interesting things that have really piqued my interest. Why do you think new players are so intrigued by what you're showing?
I really think it's just the pure action focus that we have in PoE 2 now. I mean, with PoE 1, often the complaint was that the game just didn't play like an action game well enough, and that's just something I really wanted to like put in the ground for PoE 2. You know, we definitely want to make sure that you can go in there, you're rolling around, and like playing it like an action game. That's just something we want to make sure that we actually have good sort of action game credentials there.
Yeah, Chris, one of the mechanics that were demoed during ExileCon was the roll, no cooldown, and that mechanic just flows so well into the combat.
Absolutely.
Why did you say we have to have this in the game?
Well, Jonathan's team has been working really hard on getting the action to feel just right. And one of the things they quickly identified is if you have the ability to get in and out of combat quickly, then it means you can have much more interesting mechanics because you can have skills that close the distance, you can dodge roll out when a hit is coming. It just makes the action feel a lot better.
And I mean, the cancel that you have there is just super important. Like, we effectively couldn't have skills that took a long time in PoE 1 because you were locked in, you couldn't do anything about it. When you can have a dodge cancel, it just means that you can actually have the longer skills, you can actually have that stuff because you can always just get out of there if you need to. So yeah, it allows you to get those longer attacks.
The Druid gameplay has been a big focus here at Gamescom. What can you tell us about your design philosophy with this character and how you're trying to set it apart from anything you've done before?
So the main thing that we want to achieve with the Druid is have a hybrid melee and spellcaster build. And this is actually something that was really hard to do in PoE 1 just because of the fact that you couldn't really allocate, well, to get a bit technical here, we're a bit of a technical game.
Yeah.
You couldn't allocate, if you put all your points in spellcasting, then you'd be more powerful as a spellcaster. You put all your points in melee stuff, you'd be a more powerful melee character. And becoming a hybrid was always just worse for you with regard to balance. So by making the systems as we have in PoE 2, it finally means that this kind of class where you actually do have a hybrid like that becomes actually possible. And then the Druid is obviously a really great realization of that. Plus people just love being a bear. So that's a good one.
It is pretty cool. You also showed off the Warrior and Huntress.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you tell us a little bit more about those two classes?
Yeah, so with the Warrior, we're going for just like pure, melee slams, like hard hitting, this kind of stuff. But I think a really key one for that we discovered was the importance of being able to move as you do attacks. You really want that feeling of being a freight train when you're kind of doing the thing. Let's say you're moving forward all the time. We've got skills like rolling slam, where your character's just like rolling forwards, doing slams as they go, this kind of thing. So that's kind of what that character is about exploring. And then something like the Huntress, this is really another kind of hybrid thing that we're trying to do there is like explore the idea of a character that can be both melee and range and what it would mean to connect those two things together. So we've got things like the Whirling Slash, which is a melee skill, but it requires you to get out of it before it explodes, which means that you need to find some way out of combat, out of melee range. And then we've also got skills to be doing that. So you've got skills to that are at melee, you've got skills that are at range, and then you've got skills to connect the two. We're kind of flying in and out, and basically trying to find ways to sort of get that synergy between all of those elements in order to make something that's really fun. And it just feels like you're darting in and out of combat all the time.
One of the things fans really wanted me to ask about was respecking. So have you talked about that at all? How is that going to work in PoE 2?
So it's one of those things where we're kind of a believer in if you have too much free respecking, you kind of lose the feeling of what your character is very quickly. It's very easy to feel like my character is just the same as every other character if you can free respec it all the time. So we have respecking in Path of Exile 2, but it's something that you don't just get to respec your whole character easily. You find items that allow you to respec them. But on the other hand, that's for passive skills. But for active skills, we just allow free changing between different skills all the time because the active skills are just items. You can remove them and add them to your character as much as you like. And so we feel for the active skills, it's really important that you have the ability to experiment, play around with things. But for the passives, we actually think if you're saying that my character is like a hybrid fire ice build, then you should continue down that path unless you're willing to pay the cost to kind of change that decision. So yeah, we do have different philosophies about those two areas.
Yeah. Path 1, a lot of people have spent a lot of money in that game, right? You brought up that Path 2 is a separate game because you just started growing and growing from where you began. So how is that going to work? How is the monetization from Path 1 going to just easily convert over? And how did you land on that determination?
So essentially, accounts are shared between the two games, and that means any purchases you've made in either game are available in both. So for example, all the stash tabs, all the skins, and other cosmetic stuff that you've bought in Path of Exile 1 is immediately available to you in Path of Exile 2. And when you're playing Path of Exile 2, if you were to buy a supporter back and get some cool stuff, you can go back and play Path of Exile 1. And honestly, it's just a no-brainer from being consumer first. From our point of view, that's how we would want the game to work when we're playing it, so we made sure it works that way.
Got it. How big is the team working on Path 2, and how are creative decisions landed on from a design perspective?
So the team's about, if you're talking about just like pure developers, you know, like artists and programmers and things like that, then it's about 100 people. The whole studio is about 180. So you know, we're getting a little larger over time. But I mean, ultimately, it comes down to you know, like we try to have a very open culture where anyone can suggest anything. But at the same time, you need to have some kind of vision and some kind of direction. So Mark, who is the other game director, and myself, we basically together, often a lot of it comes down to hashing out that stuff, but we try to take on as much as possible. One thing I don't want to do is just have like, you know, large meetings, because I find that stuff to be quite unproductive, really. Like I find like the perfect number of people in a meeting is 3. So then when you get beyond that, it starts to turn into this kind of cloud of like no one's really getting anything done. So yeah, I'm a fan of the smaller meeting myself. Yeah. But yeah, we found that to be pretty effective, and hopefully people at our studio feel like their ideas get heard still, and we can, you know, we can do some interesting stuff.
Chris, do you feel like your ideas are being heard?
Yeah, I have a special like access to Jonathan, so I can make sure. I walk into his office. What are you doing? No,
yeah. Having played the game a little bit, I'm reminded of, you know, some of the stuff I wish Diablo 4 did. One of the things the team commented on was Diablo 4 and their Season 1 patch, and how it was pretty rocky for that team, right? What have you learned during your years working on Path of Exile that you are taking into development of Path of Exile 2?
We have extensive experience doing live operations of action RPGs now, more than a decade in outright release, plus a lot of beta period, dozens and dozens, I think like 46 or so expansions to Path of Exile. We've posted the bad patch notes with the angry response many times. We understand where to nerf things when you need to, when not to, when to keep things punchy for players, and it's just some experience where immediately the team running Path of Exile 2 is literally the same people doing Path of Exile 1, so we'll be able to carry that forward.
But you know, it's kind of one of those things where, yeah, sometimes hard decisions have to be made, right? And I don't envy it. I do not envy any company when you have to face the wrath of the community like that. It's no fun. But you know, sometimes you just have to. Sometimes you just have to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we get really invested in our characters and really salty when they get nerfed. So, yeah.
Ideally, we'll be able to get things perfectly right the first time, so we never have to change anything. But
I'm sure it'll go flawless and no issues at all.
Absolutely.
One of the questions. So Brian plays a ton of Path 1, and he wanted me to ask, will mapping as an endgame system return in PoE 2?
Absolutely. Mapping is absolutely in the DNA of Path of Exile. We would not want to change that. But what we are changing is the
czyli mapy zostają w dwójce. Nieźle.
But effectively, you can certainly expect maps to be there, and you know, the storyline and sort of how that all unfolds will be new for PoE 2, and we'll be announcing that probably early next year, I'd say.
Awesome, awesome. I am so excited about Path of Exile 2. I need my fix when I'm not playing Diablo, you know, and both games are excellent, so I'm really looking forward to trying out what you've created. Thank you so much. Path of Exile 2 looks fantastic, so keep it locked to IGN for lots of coverage of it as we get closer to launch. We've got lots more Gamescom Studio ahead, so don't go anywhere.
From Gamescom, I am Seth Macy. I am joined by His Majesty's treasure straight from the United Kingdom, Matt Purslow. How you doing, Matt?
I'm good, thank you, Seth. How are you?
I'm wonderful. You just saw Lies of P. Everybody wants to know, how Bloodborne-y is Lies of P?
I mean, so it's set in this beautiful city called Krat, and it is very Bloodborne in its aesthetic.
Dobrze.
Lots of all of those very ornate sort of buildings, beautiful statues. And a lot of that Victorian horror vibe going on, which is good. The enemies, so we've seen new enemies this week at Gamescom.
No, Lies of P też się zapowiada ciekawie, ale kurde. Kolejne Souls-like'owe, to ciężko, kurde. Nie ma... Jest tyle teraz tych gier, że brakuje nadal tego czasu, nie?
But then this giant half woman marionette, half spider freak.
Mówisz?
Just came charging down a corridor.
Dobrze. Zrobiłeś kudosy.
I've got shit tons of weapons in my inventory to use against them. And that's, I think, where it's standing out from Bloodborne in that vibe. Bloodborne has a very specific set of weapons, like probably the smallest range in the Souls sort of games. They gave me so many weapons in my inventory to try out. Obviously, you wanted to know what sort of style I was into. I'm very much into kind of like the dex builds, a lot faster.
Yeah.
But it's the heavy weapons that really stood out to me.
Okay.
Massive kind of circular saw on a big pole, a huge wrench, a kind of a massive fire
King
axe
of
that sets
puppets.
things on fire.
Oh, man.
I had a sort of lance that got acid in the tip of it.
Hell yeah.
There was so much, like, there's so much kind of like environmental effects, so like setting things on fire, burning them with acid, all of those kind of effects that give it just that little bit of extra RPG.
Yeah, okay, cool. Did you get a chance to take on any bosses?
Wiesz, Little Foot bardzo dobrze zrobiłeś, że jej pomogłeś, dając 20
Not the master of puppets.
He's pulling a string.
penisów, że tak powiem.
But yeah, the thing that I found like really interesting about this is there's almost like a sense of humor to this game that I really like.
Really?
So when you meet this this king of puppets, he's asking you to dance. Like he stretches out his arm, and so you kind of bat him aside, and then he kind of does like this very faux kind of crying sort of element, and then proceeds to beat the absolute living crap out of you. Yeah, he's this massive robot, kind of like with a crown on, obviously.
Yep.
Does an awful lot of bouncing around. He's got extendable arms that spin around the arena.
Oh, cool.
Just absolutely knocking all like the tables over. It's in like this theater arrangement. But then when you batter him, you obviously get the fact it's a two-stage
No,
boss,
dokładnie.
as so many of these Souls-like games are. And then this guy called Romeo gets out of it, and he is so fast.
Yeah.
Like, so one of the strongest.
Jeszcze ten odzew od tej sprzedawczyni, że też podziękowała, to już w ogóle.
Cool designs where he'll
To
run
już w
around
ogóle.
and set fires in rings and then leap up. And then you've obviously got to do perfect parries to get out of that. Like, really impressive stuff.
It just felt real good, real fluid.
Yeah, really fluid. Kind of like a big sort of question that came out of the last demo was if the dodge was.
Nie to, co polecę, nie?
Ooh, dodge is critical.
Yeah,
how was it?
Absolutely. Yeah, genuinely, I think it's a little bit better. I'm not sure it's kind of like Bloodborne levels yet, but I'm definitely feeling a little bit more smoothness in that combat. And the fact that you can block as well, like whereas Bloodborne was more of a kind of like dodge and
Get out of
sort
the
of get out of the
way,
way deal. It's kind of coming together. It's a good combat system, I think.
You talked a little bit about the weapons.
A ty co powiedziałeś? Nie musisz oddawać.
Oh yeah, so this guy has so your Pinocchio character's got this mechanical arm that you can switch out with lots of different versions. Because the enemies in this area were weak against acid, I had this thing that literally is, you know, like the stuff that they pump the venom into Bane in Arkham Asylum?
Yeah.
It's like that all the way down your arm,
Cool.
and you can spray out acid in either like a horizontal or a vertical path.
Nice.
Very, very cool, and obviously when they step through it, they start taking acid damage.
Yeah.
And that's very cool, but I could also swap that out with a rocket launcher. Because who doesn't want a rocket launcher against a boss fight?
The classic Pinocchio weapon, the rocket launcher.
Absolutely, yeah. There are other ones that we've seen in other demos, like there's the puppet string, which is much more in line with the Pinocchio thing. But the rocket launcher and the acid spray are definitely my picks for this area.
Oh, hell yeah. Is there anything we haven't talked about that you feel like you need to discuss?
I think just the vibes, man. Like
Good vibes.
Good vibes and real good fashion. Some of the best coats that I've seen since like, Assassin's Creed Unity. Really beautiful long coats with that velvety touch.
Oh,
very good
I love
stuff.
a good velvety touch. That's awesome. So that was Liza P. You checked it out.
Yeah.
Good times. All right, cool. We are here on the floor of Gamescom. We're here for the rest of the week. So for all of this and so much more, make sure to keep it right here on IGN.
2020's Ghost Runner was a hardcore, lightning-fast first-person slasher that took the world by storm, and now it's getting a gigantic new sequel that adds a ton of crazy new stuff. Here to tell me all about it are Simon Brilla and Radoslav Ratushnik. Hey, hello! I think I got your names right.
Perfect. Yeah, perfect. You did it perfect. Thank you. Yeah.
Speed ran that.
Yes, yes.
All right, so I did get a little bit of hands-on time before we did this interview, which thank you so much for that. So I really want to talk about the motorbike.
Oh yeah. Sure.
Yes. So what was the inspiration behind deciding to add a motorbike to the
Podam
game?
sobie w ogóle ten...
Yeah, let me start. So, you know, our game is pretty fast, so we want to make it even more faster. And that's why we figure out that let's add the motorbike. We also think that it also fits the theme of the cyberpunk, right? There are a lot of references, and you may be familiar with the motorbike from other cyberpunk-ish pop culture stuff. So yeah, so the motorbike, it is super cool to have it like the speed that you are achieving there is amazing, but at the same time it really is fitting to the whole idea behind the design of Ghost Runner, that you have to avoid obstacles, you have to learn what's in front of you, like when you are dealing with the enemies on the normal gameplay. I think it's also very rewarding, because you feel super awesome when you can reach this amazing speeds and.
Yeah, and from the start, our idea was like, okay, we don't want to create a simulator or something similar. It was from the start pure arcade-ish experience that we would like to achieve, and I feel and I see that we'll achieve it. And can't wait to see you all playing and having fun in this.
Yeah.
I already see your reactions, so wow, thank you. You're really great.
I was very bad at this game, but it's been a minute since I played it, so it's okay. I told him to just count my death marker from that, so I hope you didn't post that.
Just the last arena.
Okay. So it's been a year since the events of Ghost Runner. So what has changed from, obviously a lot has changed, but I want you to break down what has changed for the sequel.
Well, I mean, we wanted to maintain this feeling of being a cyber ninja as it was in the first game. So you are still Jack. Jack survived, and you are this powerful character who can slice through all the enemies in the arena with only his sword. So we are bringing knife to a gunfight. But of course,
humoryczny głos. Terminator, T-2000.
Options for the players. So right now you are able to block. You have more abilities to use, but still you can play the game the same way you played the first one. So we are open for the newcomers who could also enjoy the game.
Yeah, there's always a quote that we are saying about the Ghost Runner 2, that Ghost Runner 2 is not a revolution, it's a pure evolution of this brand. And we stick it to the very, very much, and we love it. We listen a lot of community feedback, we read purely every important review, and based on that, but also based on our, ideas, like, the outside and motorcycle, we decide, okay, we will go with this path, and we are completely confident that this is the right way for evolution for the Ghost Runner 2. So it will be cool.
Yeah, I really like the way that you put that. So you brought up a great mechanic that I truly enjoyed because I love Souls-like games. I love that even though this game is more approachable, it still rewards you for precision.
Yes.
And you still have to be very good and get the timings down right. So tell me more about the block and parry system, which I got to try that out and I loved it.
Yeah, it's super satisfying because when you perform a perfect block, you are performing an execution, a very juicy execution on your enemies. And that's also, it also fits well with that fast-paced gameplay. But if you want to slow down a little bit, check what is around the corner, you're now able to do so because you can block for as much as your stamina allows you to. But it works perfectly, and if you want to play a little bit slower, you are now allowed to do so.
Yeah, in terms of the story, because it's also an important fact, this time we put a lot of effort to make the story deeper. It was also based on the fact that people ask completely and constantly asking, okay, what is the universe of Ghost Runner? What is the characteristics? So we prepared a game hub in which you will find more answers about this cool universe. You will know more about the characters, about their motivations, about your reception of your actions, and so many things. But if you would like to focus only on the gameplay, you allow it.
You can always go to the guy who is giving you a brief for the next mission.
You can skip and you can go.
I'll never skip. What do you mean?
But we did.
Yes. No, that's amazing. I'm really glad for that because I love lore digging in any sort of game. So touching on the story, at the end of Ghost Runner, Jack did escape, right? And he did kill the big bad. So what exactly is the big challenge that Jack is going to be facing in this?
So in the second game, there is a new threat for Dharma Tower. The AI cult is rising outside and inside the tower, and your goal is, of course, to deal with it, to deal with the threat. You are giving aid to the former rebels, and now they are calling themselves climbers. It's the faction that is ruling the tower right now. They have a trouble with some gangs, and of course, everyone wants to be in charge of the tower. And the new threat is pretty big, to be honest. If you saw the pre-order trailer, there are some bosses that we are teasing there, and there will be a challenge for the Ghost Runner.
Yeah. Of course, during the story, the Jack is also evolving, he's changing. When you compare him to the first part, to the second one, you will see that he's changed a lot in terms of the, friendship and so on. He is a way different. For me personally, Jack is similar to Mando from the Mandalorian, obviously, and he's a shy guy, very calm, and then he changing.
When he speaks, he means it.
He's very precision also in speaking, not only in killing.
Yeah, I love that we get to see more personality from him and the other supporting characters.
Yes.
The humor between the banter is just really fun. I really liked that. It makes me feel like the characters are people that I could actually be friends with, right? Like, not everyone's going to get along, which is very nice.
Yes.
So, in speaking with the story, there are going to be branching dialogues. So, what does this mean for Jack and whoever he might interact with?
Yeah, basically he can interact with all NPCs that you may meet in the hub. However, you may talk with them and know more about their life, their motivations, the situation that's going to happen and are happening in the tower. And I think this is a really fun part because it's giving you a huge background behind every person that you met in your hub. So this is the goal.
So they are not only talking heads, but they are really the people that you can have an interaction with them and learn more about the world and about each of these NPCs.
Yes.
Yeah, so does that mean that there will be multiple endings or is there only one ending?
Well, we don't want to spoil the ending,
Okay.
but
you need to find out.
There is an ending.
Yeah. You need to find out. You need to play.
Czyli może być więcej zakończeń.
Okay, all right. You have me very curious. I was already going to play, but now I want to play and learn everything about the story.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so one last question. Is there going to be, would you ever consider
Aww.
releasing sort of a map
Proszę.
here for the community to make
Little
different
foot.
parkour obstacle courses for other players to enjoy?
Well, that's the great idea, and we know that there are many people who would like to mod the game, and yeah, we would love to think about it, to consider it. That's what we can say for now, but of course we will be supporting the game after the release for the full year.
Yeah, and now we are totally focused on bringing in on the date and keeping the quality and fun playing with it. So that is our goal right now.
And when is the game going to be out?
26th of October.
This year.
This year, of course.
On PC, Xbox, PS5,
Xbox Series.
Xbox Series, yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much. I'm so excited to
Thank
play
you.
this. I got a tiny taste and I can't wait to play it already.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, well, you heard it here. Ghost Runner 2 hits PC and consoles on October 26th, and I'm going to get on that motorcycle again. We've got lots more ahead right here on Gamescom Studio, so stick around.
Jak do siostry nie wpadniesz?
You're watching Gamescom Studio.
Zwrotny
powered
brat.
by IGN. Ever wanted to build a complex and thriving medieval kingdom
Hey,
and
Tilwood.
defend it from your friends who keep trying to tear it down? Well, good news. We have just the game for you. Thrive, Heavy Lies the Crown is heading into early access in 2024, and we've got a look at it right now. Check it out.
No one plans for ruin. I did not ask for this ever-thickening fog, for the illness and decay that it brings. It was no threat at first, just a light haze over fresh morning dew, bringing greater sheen to ripe berries and a bountiful fullness to grazing beasts. How subtly that sheen dulls and the bounty dries up, as it begins to creep in, to seep in. Whispers turn to whimpers. Food spoiled.
W sumie nie słyszałem, co to za gra, ale teraz pewnie zobaczymy.
Poisoned. Some call it a cleansing. Most call it the Walgrim. I call it my destiny. My rule seemed bound to failure. But for failure, I'd never planned. But you, what destiny awaits the one who walks amongst the wolves?
The chosen
without
one.
Fear? It has always been you. So here, take this gift, the mantle it bestows. Pray that you might bear its weight a little better than I. But never forget, no one plans for ruin. When the Walgrim calls, how will you answer?
Thrive, Heavy Lies the Crown. A, tego typu giereczka. Okej. Village Builder. Pre-alpha footage. Pre-alpha. Jakiego potato modele? Potato? A, to raczej chyba jest indie gierka, nie? A, raczej indie. Reklamy.
Cinefix on. Should I play?
Be event.
Ale byłbym chory, kurde, nie? Jakbym siadł do czegoś takiego, nie? Masakra by była.
Hey there, everybody. Destin Liguri at Gamescom, and I got a little bit of hands-on time with Tekken 8. Now, granted, I am a novice player at this game, but I have to say it's really inviting to newcomers who aren't playing against some of the best people in the FGC community. And that has me really hopeful for the full release of the game, because there are some interesting systems here. Now, I didn't get a ton of time, like I said, but the heat system is really interesting. I know you can activate and you can either dash in for more damage or utilize the smash ability to really pummel your opponent. There's a chip implemented in Tekken 8, and the only way to regain your health is to do damage on your opponent. Otherwise, your life bar will get taken away on hit. But I like that sort of back and forth that you have with your opponent in this version of the game, and I like that addition to Tekken 8. Now, as a sucker for super moves, I would be remiss not to talk about rage arts. As a novice again, basically what would happen was I would get beat up a whole bunch, and as soon as I got a chance, I would hit R2 and be able to pummel the enemy. Now, I know high-level players will utilize that in a more technical way, but for me, as a newer player, I have to admit, it does feel really good to have a chance to come back against somebody who's a little bit higher skill level than you are. Now, the fighting game community is really excited about the new heat system, how rage arts are being utilized, how the chip system is being utilized, and all of those mechanics are really interesting to a core fighting game player. Also, some of the characters have just been hitting all the right notes for players. I got to see Jack, I got to play a few of the fan favorites that are making a return. Unfortunately, the big reveal at Gamescom was the single player mode where you can unlock cool cosmetics and such for your character by entering into fights or entering tournaments with your friends, or at least those are some of the modes that you can explore. And I would have really liked to see how that was all going to play out, but this was all just two players sitting down and beating each other up. So I'm really excited to get more hands-on time doing exactly that with my friends at home.
LOL.
I had about 10 minutes to play the game because there was a really long demonstration at the Bandai Namco booth that I had to watch first. So I can't tell you a whole bunch more, but Mitchell and Ronnie at IGN, they are our Tekken 8 experts, and they will be covering this game much more in depth for you. So stay tuned for more. Thank you so much for watching. For more on all things gaming, keep it right here at IGN.
After a 10-year gap, we're finally getting Payday 3 September 21st this year, and we get to live out all of our heisting fantasies. I have here Almir Listo, Global Brand Director and Head of Community, and Andres Hellpenninger, Lead Producer from Starbreeze, to answer all of our questions about Payday 3. Hello.
Hi.
I want to dive into this. So why did you decide to launch the Unreal 5 after launch of the game?
I can take that. So when we started the development of Payday 3, we just had Unreal 4. Unreal 5 wasn't available. And as Unreal 5 became available, we did look into it and evaluated it, but we just saw that moving and transitioning during development, it would
put some risk to the core experience of the project, and the most important thing for us right now is to make sure that the game is fun and it plays well. So the transition post-launch just makes sense for us from a development point of view.
Okay. Oh, and I think this is new footage of the new heist that is available later. Yes. Can you tell us a little bit more about this particular one? Because I think I only got to play the bank and the art museum.
Yeah. So, like you said, in the beta we had a bank, which is it's sort of like a vanilla payday level, right? It has a very classic bank robbery feel to it. It's very close to the core fantasy. This one is a little bit different. Most noticeable, it has a very different setting, right? It's
Doki z kontenerami.
oriented, and it has a very
Już trochę oglądaliśmy.
where when you steal the loot
W którym
that
dniu?
you're after,
Którymś
it
dniu
degrades over
oglądaliśmy to,
time.
chyba
So you
drugim?
need to be very quick and very coordinated
Może
with your
trzeci?
team to get it back to its
Że nie, trzeci nie, drugi na pewno.
before it loses its value.
Oh, okay, interesting. That.
And it also features a new contractor.
Yeah.
So for this heist, we're working together with Ice-T, who portrays the character of Mac.
What?
So apparently, we didn't know this before, but Ice-T's been a fan of Payday since 7-8 years past. Yeah, Payday 2. So when we reached out to him, he was super excited to work with us. So he's a new contractor. This is his heist in New Jersey, because he's from New Jersey, so we had to do that for him. Yeah.
That's amazing. Okay, so I'll just have to wait 6 years to get my contractor position in
That's
there.
correct.
Oh, okay, great. Yes, Payday 4. There you go. Awesome. So I also want to ask, what was the biggest challenge in developing Payday 3 on the new engine as well? You did talk about the different technical challenges it presented.
I think, so Payday 1 and Payday 2 was developed in our in-house engine, Diesel, and Payday 3 is now in Unreal 4. And one of the biggest challenges that we faced very early on was making sure that we still capture that Payday feel, like the moment to moment, because it has a very particular feel, right? So we worked on that for a very long time, and made sure that we had a prototype that felt like Payday before we started fleshing out a lot more features.
Okay.
I also think something cool that we could prepare for properly for Payday 3 was that when we made Payday 2, we didn't know we were going to be working on it for 10 years. But making Payday 3, we built a proper foundation so that we know that we can continuously update it over time. And with our partner Deep Silver, we can look forward, to at least 18 months of post-launch content. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great because a lot of people still do play Payday 2 to this day. So I think that'll be great that it'll be updated constantly as well with the new support. So I did want to ask, because we see a lot of games coming out at the $70 price point, what was the reasoning for the $39.99 release price?
I only have $40.
I love that, yeah.
No, but I think it's a fair price point for a fair amount of content, right? Payday the Heist, the first game had 6 heists on launch, Payday 2 had 12, and Payday 3 has 8 on launch, right? But over time, we're going to add more content, both free and paid, whether it's, characters, heists, weapons, gadgets.
Widzicie? Można wypuścić tanią grę? Można wypuścić tanią grę. I później będą darmowe aktualizacje i takie też, które będą płatne. Idzie? Idzie. Nie są tacy greedy. Że $70 płać i płacz. I później jeszcze płać.
Yeah. So I do want to talk. So since I did get some hands-on time with the preview, we have some mechanics that we weren't able to do before, like putting the mask on and being able to climb things to help with the stealth gameplay. So what were the biggest changes in Payday 3's mechanics from Payday 2?
What we did early on was really try to identify how.
Albo $35 jak za lasę poszka, tak. Dokładnie. Znaczy teraz $35 za lasę poszkę, bo las Epoch wcześniej był tańszy chyba. Nie wiem ile to było na dolce, ale tam kosztował 130, 120? Jakoś tak. Chyba 125. I był tańszy. Jakiś czas temu podwyższyli cenę. Bo musieli.
You can trade them between assaults to get resources back. So there's a lot of things to play with there that really feeds into what bank robbery is all about.
Nie, ale też nie dawali, kurde, nie wiem, jakieś właśnie takie zawieszki, że $70 albo coś nie stoi, nie?
Of the game, like the world of Payday. I think with Payday 2 over time we went like all over the place, trying different things, and so on. And for Payday 3,
Kto mówił, że wyjdzie w grudniu Las Epoch? Ktoś z oficjali? A wiesz co, no, nie wiem, wiesz co, widziałem na pewno jakiś artykuł, że został zapowiedziany na grudzień. Może gdzieś było, ktoś coś gdzieś gadał, nie?
But also our characters, that they look 5 years older. Because a matter of fact is, it's been 5 years since they retired in Payday 2.
Wiesz co, z tego co widzę, na przykład na gry online, to jest premiera, oficjalna premiera, grudzień 2023, więc musieli coś chlapnąć na Gamescomie.
Coming back into a world of crime for whatever reason that is going to unfold in Payday 3.
Yeah, can you actually go into a little bit of the story? Why did they come out of retirement, and what have they been up to?
I think we don't want to spoil too much.
Okay.
But what I can
Eventu na
say is that
Discordzie
what
też jest,
happened at
ewentualnie, nie?
White House heist in Payday 2, when they stole their pardons, their presidential pardons, the gang retired.
Ewentualnie
and
forum
there were
jakieś.
more than 20 people in the Payday gang at the time. They retired and went their different ways. And for whatever reason that we'll find out in Payday 3, they were forced back into a life of crime. And Mac, the new contractor that is portrayed by Ice-T, including others, are bringing them to New York to help them along.
It's also a greedy crew, you know? They live for this. Yeah.
Well, like we said, video games are expensive, so I don't blame them really.
Yeah, that is why they're back.
Right? Yeah, just for video games.
Yeah.
So you did mention earlier that there are going to be some expansions, some free, some not. So how many DLC do you have planned for this game so far?
We're looking at year 1 initially, right? Because that's what we have coming up. But of course, like we're
Tak, ale wersja 1.0 jest równoznaczna z finalną wersją. To już mówili wcześniej Magnum. Że jeśli wyjdzie patch 1.0, to jest finalna wersja. Ta ostateczna, czyli full release. Czyli skończy się tam, nie wiem, early access, beta, jest full.
And as soon as they start feedbacking us, we'll be taking that in and adjusting course probably slightly.
Yeah, we want to work with them closely, and then also, even though we haven't said exactly what we're going to do for year 1, what I can say is that it's important to us that it's not just a content neither. Like not only characters and weapons and cosmetics. We want to ensure that we grow the product and we take the experience where we want it to be.
Bo może Magnum, ja tylko absolutnie źle nic nie dobrałem, no spokojnie też.
Long term.
It's funny with Payday 2 as well. I remember when we were making collabs initially, because we made over 30 different collaborations for Payday 2 over 10 years, right? The fans were like, why did you do this? Why did you add this? Oh no.
A gadamy o Las Epochu, hack and slasher, coś a la Diablo. Coś a la Diablo, coś a la Path of Exile.
Retain the integrity, focus on the core gang initially, and then over time we'll try to see, what collab should we do, what shouldn't we do.
Yeah, and I think retaining the integrity has a lot to do
Las
with
Epoch
collaborating
przez
with the
CH.
community. I mean, we
Nie
have
samo
people
H.
that have, thousands of hours in the game. And Payday 2 has almost been... Almir and I have been at Starbreeze for almost 12 years now and working on Payday 2 for a long time. And Payday 2 for us has almost been like a test bed. We've been trying and experimenting a lot.
Jak to wiesz, Littlefoot, wiesz, że nic nie wiesz?
That doesn't really. So I think we've learned a lot from that and really learned that, working together with our
Pani dostała pikselozy.
where their expectations potentially aren't met,
Yeah, especially being like really clear on when we screwed up, because we have, over 200 updates over 10 years, you're bound to screw up at some point, right? And I think being very honest and open about that and telling the community, like, we're sorry, we should have done this, we should have done that instead, and just listening to them and having that very truthful and straight relationship with them. I think that's done a lot over the years, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we waited 10 years for Payday 3, so I think they'll wait a little bit more for any new updates, and they'll be happy to get their hands on this year. So thank you so much for speaking with me today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we are so pumped to play Payday 3 when it comes out. I can't wait to jump back in and try all 8 heists. Payday 3 launches September 21st.
Wiesz, że nie artefaktem na grafice? No dokładnie. Jakby były artefaktem na grafice, to... Elo. Paulu, nie masz tej gierki? Ona nie jest popularna, więc wiesz. Przynajmniej na razie. Już mówię, tak, to jest hack and slash, więc... Na Epalach raczej tego typu gierek nie ma. Nie wiem, czy w ogóle masz Diablo 4 na Epalach albo coś w tym stylu, nie?
I need to get my photo taken, then I need to punch the punch machine as hard as I can to get bragging rights, and then I can get this sweet mask, an awesome fan, and a sweet mouse pad. Let's go. All right, I'm gonna check out One Punch Man right here on PC, flex my keyboard and mouse skills. Let's do this. So are you excited about the game? You haven't played it yet, but you're here, so I kind of think I know the answer to this, but I want to hear it from you.
I am really excited to play this game.
Okay.
Not only is One Punch Man World available on PC, but it's also on iPad and Android tablets, which is how I'm going to play it.
Przerobiłeś się w trakcie nagrywki, wszystko było dobrze, dopóki nie chciałeś odpalić tej i po PC było, no. Nie, ja jeszcze grafy nie zjarałem. Zjarałem na przykład procka. Dziś w sumie nie procka. Tak, nie, procka zjarałem, ale to przez to, że płyta główna się zjarała, kondensatory walnęły. Także, ale to tylko raz.
Hello, sprechen Sie English?
Of course, I do.
I would like to get my passport, please.
So, this is your passport for this area, and all you have to do is, we have some activities to do. Maybe, for example, our photo wall, our punch machine, or trying out our new game. For each activity, you will get a stamp. You stamp your book, and the more stamps you will have, the more prizes you will get.
No, dlatego jeśli chodzi o zasilacze, to miałem mam też takie doświadczenie, że też gdzieś tam miałem jakieś słabe zasilacze i albo kiepskiej jakości generalnie też, nie? Albo jakieś no-name'y. Dlatego po tych doświadczeniach wyszedłem z założenia lepszy, mocniejszy zasilacz. Problem z głowy. Nie będziesz musiał się martwić, że nie wiem, będziesz miał za słaby, że jest właśnie kiepskiej jakości i tak dalej, i tak dalej. Dlatego też od paru lat kupuję naprawdę mocniejsze zasilacze, pomimo że jest overkill trochę tego zasilacza. I minimum w tym momencie u mnie to jest platynowy. Nie kupuję brąza, nie kupuję golda, kupuję platynowy, a jest zawsze tytanium. No, Be Quiet jest całkiem dobrą firmą. Nie oszukujmy się, ja akurat mam Corsarza mam. Corsaira mam. 750 chyba teraz mam w tym momencie, więc full modular, więc jest elegancko.
Joining me here at this booth presented by One Punch Man World. On that note, One Punch Man World is coming to PC, iOS, and Android, and pre-registration is open right now at One Punch Man World.
Na mobilki też wychodzi? Ciekawe.
Everything else and everything One Punch Man World, keep it right here on IGN.
Dobra, możemy sobie skipnąć reklamy. Siema, Wiking. Teraz wziąłeś gigabajta i kilowatowy? Nice. No, bo to też wszystko zależy od tego, jaką masz grafę, procek i tak dalej. I inne pierdółki, więc no.
If you want to stay up to date with all Gamescom related news and announcements, make sure you're following the official social media accounts on your platform of choice, whether that's Instagram, Facebook, X.
Nie, no wiadomo, jak ci śmiga, to wiesz, to nie ma sensu wymieniać.
After that, we're checking out the Plucky Squire, and we also caught up with Neil Blomkamp.
Dokładnie, tak jak piszesz, Wiking. Czasami lepiej dać trochę więcej mocy i mieć coś w zapasie, w razie właśnie, nie wiem, jakiejś modernizacji albo czegoś i tak dalej, nie?
This November, Like a Dragon Gaiden, the man who erased his name, will set the stage for next year's entry, Infinite Wealth. Here to tell us about it and show off the game in action, I'm joined by Like a Dragon series chief producer Sakamoto-san and Gavin Green, who will be translating.
Nie, no to 1060, 600, no to easy.
Now, we have some gameplay to show off. I want to hear your thoughts about it, but I have a burning.
I dlatego, co masz generalnie, Magdą, to 600 to jest picobello, jeszcze masz taki zapas, że ja pierdzielę.
Song of Life, and then he showed up in Like a Dragon in 7, and this is going to be setting up the next one. I guess what kind of time period does this span? And less where does it end off, more where does it start?
Black screen, ale to nie u mnie.
6では風間桐生とさよならしたかなと思ったんですが、このゲームのなんかいつから設定したんですか？やっぱりそう、はい、どうぞ。
龍が如く8をすでにもう発表して
A wiecie ten, że jedna, nie wiem czy ze znanych czy nieznanych VTuberek dostała się właśnie do 2 gierek Yakuzy.
作ってました。
Tych nowych właśnie, co teraz będą wychodzić. Ona się nazywa Keisom chyba bodajże?
桐生一馬自体はですね、龍が如く7で、ちょっとこう助っ人としてこう春日を助けてくれるような役回りで出てきたんです。
No to Littlefoot wygooglaj sobie.
龍が如く7からこうプレイをしたユーザーの人にとっては、
Tak się nazywa, dokładnie, żeby nie było.
こうまだちょっと正直掴みきれてないんじゃないかなっていう不安がまずありました。
So also in 7, Kazuma kind of appeared as a sort of backup character, and a lot of people who played 7
No wiadomo, Wiking, jak są jakieś fajne promki, no to trzeba korzystać, nie?
でそこで改めてこう龍が如く6以降で桐生一馬が何をやっていたの
No,
か
ja jeszcze odkładam, bo mówię, chcę jeszcze parę innych gadżetów pokupować, między innymi biurko elektryczne, żeby móc wstać normalnie i żeby wykup nagrody był jakoś bardziej bardziej sensowny.
So this game was kind of invented as a spin-off.
Ona jest jakąś linką? Nie, ona nie jest linką. Ona jest Japonką.
Co ja chyba. From the end of 6 to the events in 8. So like what he was doing in the background, what he was up to. This is kind of the goal for this whole game.
I love it. Now we know we're going to be returning to Sotenbori and Ijincho, and this is a new location we're checking out right here. Can you tell us about it?
ソトンボリやイジンチョには戻ると思いますが、ここの新しい場所もあると思うんですが、この場所について話していただけますか？
これはもうすでにこうトレーラーでもいくつか公開されてますし、今回のゲームスコムで実際に体験版として遊べる状態ではなってるんですけど、これも外伝セブン外伝ですごく重要なロケーションであるキャッスルと言われているロケーションになります。
So this is a location called the castle, and we've already talked about it a bit.
O, jest różnica.
And actually here at Gamescom,
jest
we
różnica.
have a demo where you can play it through it as well. But yes, it's called the castle.
Nice. Now, multiple fighting styles again. Sorry, Joryu, my bad. He's got Agent style, which is sort of a faster-paced one, and Yakuza style, which...
Przynajmniej dla mnie jest różnica, wiesz, więc wiesz, jeśli ty nie widzisz różnicy, to...
Tell me a little bit about the new combat abilities he has as a...
Twoja sprawa, ja natomiast widzę.
流派は2つあってエージェント保留だと思うんですけれど両方ともあるんですが今回エージェントについて
Po co przepłacać? No dokładnie, nie?
いただきたいなもう特にギャジェットも超スパイ的なかっこいい感じなんですがこれについてお話しいただけますか？
龍が如く6以降ですね大道寺
Plus jeszcze czekam na te informacje od Nvidia, nie? Odnośnie 5. serii, nie? Zobaczymy co tam ciekawego pokażą, powiedzą, wypuszczą.
So at the end of 6, kind of Kazuma decided to become an agent, kind of in the event of Daidoji and everything. But at that point, like we decided, well, how are we going to show off like how this has changed him, how this is has affected his fighting style, and that's what kind of we're showing off here.
Now, I gotta ask something about the glasses, because it's like the Clark Kent disguise.
No my jeszcze mamy tyle kurde ten Yakuzy do nadrobienia, że szkoda gadać. Ale Sun, 4, Sun, yeah. To będzie się działo.
スーパーマンと同じようにメガネをかければ誰もカズマっていうことを理解してないっていう感じなんですがやっぱりそういう設定なのでしょうか本当にメガネかけてる時には誰もカズマって分かんないんですか？
今回ゲームでコスチュームをねいろいろカスタマイズできる要素があるので本当に元桐生一馬を隠したいんであればプレイヤーの皆さんがいろいろコスチュームチェンジして楽しめる。
Ciekawe czy osoby z tych krajów znają angielski. Wiesz sobie, jeśli chodzi o Japonię, Tylko niewielka część, u mnie po angielsku?
まあまあ結構物語進めていくと比喩だっていうのがバレていくのでそれはちょっと
Przynajmniej jak byłem parę lat temu, to tak w sumie było, nie? Że nie wszędzie i nie wszyscy gadali po angielsku, nie byli w stanie też, nie? Na przykład jak poszło się do restauracji, to też menu nie miałeś po angielsku. Zwłaszcza do takich rodzinnych, mniejszych knajpek, to już w ogóle nie mieli angielskiego menu, nie?
Kazuma, but this is something we kind of want people to look forward to. At some point, it's going to be pretty obvious, and there's going to be a lot of characters who are going to recognize him. But I mean, we can pretend it's Clark Kent.
Wonderful.
To byś musiał zobaczyć.
One of the first looks we had at him in Infinite Wealth, he's got this crazy new hairstyle with the silver. You know, he's getting on in years, but I have a feeling that's sort of not a natural decision. Will that be explained in Gaiden, or is that something we have to wait for Infinite Wealth for?
竜8では新しい見た目になってもう本当にシルバーヘアになってるんですが、それはこのゲーム外伝では説明されているんですけど、なぜその髪型にしていたんですかっていうことを説明されるんですか。
まああんまり細かくは話せないんですけれども、まあ単なるファッションでああいう見た目になったっていうわけではないってことだけは言っときます。
So we're not going to go into too much detail of it in the game, but it's not just fashion is where we'll leave it at.
Ja to już nie wiem, to już nie mój problem. Załóż sobie konto w Azji, to lola.
このゲームにも尾道代さんは出るんですか？
もちろん。
Jak tam Wiking? Co tam teraz pykasz?
Yeah, you like him that much?
That's what I like to hear.
Co tam teraz masz na tapecie? Na ruszcie, że tak powiem.
これはキャッスルに
Co tam teraz ogrzewasz?
搭載されている闘技場と言われているバトルエリアになっています。
So this is the Coliseum, which
Battle Power 33000? Co to kurde ten? Dragon Ball?
今まで闘技場っていうものはあったんですけれども、今回のセブンガイデンではここの闘技場がですね。
A to jest motyw ten, z poprzedniej części widzę.
立ち位置になってまして。
Tylko teraz tak bardziej 3D. Wszystko widać. Nice. Spoko.
チームで仲間になっているキャラクター全部操作プレイヤーとして使えることができる。
So we've always kind of had a battle arena within these games, but for this game specifically, the kind of relationship of
Ten ślizg, kurde, z lataniem.
the game is a lot more deep, it's a lot more involved. We can't go into too much detail right now, but what we will say is that there's all sorts of different things that this battle arena does. Like you can not just play as Kazuma, you can actually unlock and kind of use other characters as your playable character while you're fighting through the arena. And so that's kind of one of, there's also like a team battle section where you can add more different team members to your battle party. It's really cool.
Awesome. Well, thank you both so much for coming by and chatting. I'm really looking forward to this. I really miss Kiryu. I'm happy he's back. I miss that guy. Like a Dragon Gaiden, The Man Who Erased His Name is out November 8th for PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series X, S, and PC.
Kurde.
And Infinite Wealth is hot on its
Niestety najlepiej ograć wszystkie części, żeby nic nie uciekło, żeby wiedzieć całe story, to musimy ograć wszystkie przednie części. 4, 5, 6, 7 i inne, które są połączone z Jakuzą, więc tyle godzin, że szkoda gadać. Na pewno w tym roku nie będziemy ogrywać tej części. A na następny rok jest jeszcze inna zapowiedziana część.
We want to create a game that really connects people together and make them feel they're not lonely. And that's what helped Sky to grow. And last December, we hosted a concert, which we really pushed the boundary of what the server can do to bring 4,000 people together. But a lot of the players, they saw the game, they said, oh, that must be fake, right? That's not real players. You know, you should just play other concert in other games. So we wanted to really, you know, have someone to come in to tell the players, not only are those people real, and we're actually going to set a world record, right? It's very rare for a small indie company to be able to really push the technology to bring something new.
A nie, no to co, w czym problem? Google Translate i do widzenia. Ale to mówię ci, Littlefoot, wpisz sobie, otwórz sobie Google Translate, weź sobie przetłumacz nazwę kraju I będziesz widział, czy się znaki pokrywają.
Yeah, we are just about 29 minutes and 42 seconds out. This video might go up after that.
Ja chińskiego nie znam.
Check the results after the fact. This is what's the the other record.
Mogę trochę ci powiedzieć coś po japońsku, ale przeczytać to nie potrafię ci też. Nie znam kanji, nie umiem. Nie umiem pisać, nie umiem czytać, umiem tylko mówić. Coś tam. I tylko tyle. I to tylko tyle, panie.
Now, can you talk a little bit about the concert? You're having Aurora perform? Yes. And this is an reverse concert. Can you talk a little bit about the sort of collaboration there? Because I think we all know how like a concert in person happens. What's it like to make a virtual one?
So for those of you who know Aurora, she's a very famous singer in Norway.
Ten pierwszy jest chiński, ten drugi jest japoński.
Back in 2017, before her sound breakout,
Teraz sprawdzimy jeszcze. O, przepraszam. Pierwszy jest japoński, drugi jest chiński. Byłem blisko.
We want to not just give you 12 minutes of music, we actually want to tell you a story. And so we convert every single song into a level where you play as a complete different character to experience a narrative roller coaster ride.
No.
Last December, we have seen many players who go through the concert actually have tears in the end.
Ale tak jak mówiłem, nie umiem czytać kanji. Więc no, nie znam symboli, znaków, żeby móc to odczytać.
So she's gonna be there live, and she can interact with the fans, right? I'm pretty sure this is also some kind of record because, you know, what is the largest online virtual fan meetups, you know, you've ever been to, right? Like, you have one celebrity and 9,999 fans in the same stadium. We don't know what's going to happen. We'll see, you know.
I love it. It's an experiment. Now, if you could get any artist, living or dead, musician, band, whatever, to perform in Sky, who would you go with?
I mean, if we haven't done the Aurora concert, we will still go with her because the message she has in her songs, it matches with the theme of Sky perfectly. But after Aurora, we're working on it.
Okay, yes. All right. Yes. Very cool. Now, the other big news these days is that Sky is coming to PC. Can you tell us a little bit about what's new and exciting for you as a developer on that side of it, and also what fans have to look forward to?
So, if you remember Journey, that's my attempt to make an MMO game when we only have 12 people and one engineer who knows how to write online code. But even though we only have one other player you meet in Journey, we want to make it a genuine human connections. We really want to see games bring people together and form friendships. Now, when we bring the games to mobile phone and then to Switch and to PlayStation, each time we bring a new platform, we will upgrade our technology. Right, so now with the PC coming, we can do up to 10,000 players having a wonderful event together. Not only did we upgrade our backend server technology, we also really upgrade the graphics. You're gonna see Sky in 4K, 120 frames per second, and HDR. I don't see many games really focusing on the HDR, but Sky is a beautiful game. And if you can see the game in the HDR screen, you will never want to go back. I guarantee you.
Cool.
O, HDR. Szkoda, że nie użyłem.
So up till now,
Bo nie mam takiej potrzeby.
visions about what an online game is supposed to look like. Today we have our version number is 0.2027. We still haven't hit 1.0. So next year we guarantee you we're gonna get to 1.0 and Sky is gonna enter a new milestone. And there are many new interesting features that will make Sky the most socially engaging and emotional MMO in the world.
Amazing. And you have another thing in the works, which is an animation project. Are we going to see that pretty soon?
Yes, so when we are developing the story of Sky and release it through the games, it's just not very efficient. A lot of our players wanted to know more about the lore and the history of the game, and having an animated show is really the most effective way to introduce the player to the history of the world. And so we have a new show called Sky, the Two Embers. We are planning to release it next year. And so here's a little teaser. You can take a look.
A kurde, gadają w tej grze. Musieli nieźle zapłacić Dzień za promo, nie?
you've got a world record to break, so I'm gonna let you go. We have more Gamescom on the way. Stick around.
No właśnie. Ile można gadać o jednej grze? Nagadać mi tu więcej. Mami, mami. Mami? O, Magdym, właśnie 9 minut temu napisali na Twitterze Las Epocha, że próbują naprawić bugi. Więc już wiedzą o bugach. Random BS go!
Movie to there'll be some IGN play chip away.
Reklamy precz. Mamy ten przywilej, że możemy sobie skipnąć je. A.
Welcome back to Gamescom.
No widzisz, jak się konserwują?
The Brazilian gaming scene continues to grow and evolve, producing exciting and unique games. And with the formation of the Brazil Games Export Program, it's only getting bigger and better. Here to tell me all about it is Rodrigo Terra, president of Aber Games. Welcome to the Edge Studio.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me here.
So I think we're going to take a look at some very cool games out of the Brazilian gaming scene in just a moment. But first, tell us about the Brazil Games Export Program.
So the export program, it's been out for 10 years now. The mission of the export program is to bring Brazilian studios to the international audience. Even events like Gamescom, which has a B2B component, very important, and obviously a consumer aspect of the event as well, to studios to see the international audience, to showcase their games, and obviously doing a business. So we've been doing that in all major events in the world. So as you can see, Gamescom and other ones in Asia and throughout the world. And obviously we want to get back to Brazil because we have the big festival, which is international festival as well. And then the export program supports also the studios to be there and to showcase to audience, an international audience there as well. So it's mainly focused on bringing the best games, the best projects, and the best companies to be face-to-face with a publisher or investor or any other kind of opportunity they can have here in the international market.
Can you give us a sense of the size of the Brazilian gaming community? For instance, Aber Games is an association of Brazilian game developers.
Yeah.
Do you have like an idea of how many members there are or how many development studios there are?
Yeah. Aber Games members, we are 170-ish now. The whole Brazil has more than 1,000 studios nowadays. Wow. So throughout Brazil, across the whole country. And then we represent like 10-12% of it. And we have a network of 17 local entities which are connected with Aber Games, and then covers the other 90% of the developers. Here at Gamescom this year, we have 50 companies that came with us with the export program, and 10 other companies for incubator accelerators programs in the state of São Paulo, and city of São Paulo as well. So we came together this year again, but now with more and more companies than ever. That we ever done in our life. So it's the largest delegation ever.
Very cool. Let's take a look at some games. One of them that looks really cool to me is Chess-arama. Chess-arama. Sort of like a twist on chess. It's not just classic chess, right?
Exactly.
Tell us about this game.
So the studio itself, so Chess-arama is one of these takes that I usually talk about the Brazilian creativities in the Brazilian studio.
Kurde, coś z szachami związane. Kurde.
The studio itself.
Chess-arama. Jakieś szachy chińskie.
how they can create a more fun game and recreate the experience of the chairs, chessboards, right? And you're seeing different themes like chess with soccer, chess with princes, chess in the medieval ages. So that's how I feel that the take of a Brazilian studio.
Proszę bardzo, Magnum.
We always have a twist in terms of genre. We don't exactly replicate something that was out there or it's a trend, just a trend. But they obviously, I mean, that's why I love to work down there, because people are getting out crazy ideas, everything, and make them quality games. So that make them polished, make them very interesting to play. So I'm waiting to play the next build of it. So
yeah, this looks really fun and clever. I want to play that game. That's coming out this year.
I think so.
Okay, I hope so. The next one is The Light of Darkness.
Yeah.
What do we need to know about this game?
Well, it's a side-scroller, 2.5D.
Czyli parę gierek widzę od tego studia.
Incredible one, and it's a mix. So you are a hybrid being between an angel and a demon. And the thing of Light of Darkness, I think it's they trying to bring a new, again, a new take on what is the not just the side-scrolling, but the theme of being. So I'm watching. I haven't watched that one. So that's really that's a new version of it that I haven't saw that.
Wow.
So they're trying to make that a very challenging side-scroller. It's not super easy exactly to play. But yeah, so and they invested on the graphics. So what we're going to see in that will be a beautiful 2.D side-scroller with that take on mythological beings and etc. And you play it as a hybrid being that sounds and looks really fun to.
Yeah. Is this a Metroidvania?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, you're speaking my language. These are my kind of games. The last we're going to take a look at is Tower of Samsara 2. The original's already out.
Yeah.
This is well, the original is like a Souls-like puzzle platformer.
Yeah.
Is that what this one is as well?
Yeah. So Tower of Samsara is the second installment of Helix Studio. It's a studio from the countryside in São Paulo. And in this game, actually, they tried to continue the story of the first game, right? Yeah. And the fun story about this Tower of Samsara now, it's a kind of franchise, right? So they're trying to create a kind of new template of game. So you can create very Souls-like-esque side-scrolling in pixel art for many instruments of it. So they try to create like a basis of the gameplay in a way they can replicate. And then this second one, and they're amazing art as well. So I love the pixel art that they do. Alex, they sort of great. Obviously, all of our members who stood all over the delegation, we bring only the best what has been doing in Brazil. And to my joy, many studios now are reaching there. So, but this is just 3 examples.
Sure.
We have more than 100 games here being shown this year during Gamescom. I mean, to publishers, the studios brought the prototypes and the games itself. So the scene now in Brazil is really strong. So and I can say it's equally comparable to any other place in the world.
I mean, if these 3 games are any representation, I want to play all 3 of these games.
Yeah, me too. And I love Tower of Samsara, it's my favorite. So
very cool. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming by the IGN stage and sharing all the cool stuff that the Brazilian development scene is up to.
Thank you so much.
All right. It is awesome and inspiring to see the Brazilian gaming scene continue to grow. We've got tons more video game coverage ahead right here on Gamescom Studio, so stick around.
Dobra. I znowu reklamy. Przewiniemy sobie to.
Where they rank. Are any
new free to play open?
O! Yes.
Revealed right here at Gamescom this week, Project Mugen is the massive new free-to-play open-world RPG heading your way soon. Here to tell me all about it is Ritten Wong, Senior Marketing Director. Hello and welcome.
Hello.
The IGN stage here.
Yeah.
Congrats on the announcement of this game.
Yes, I'm so excited to announce this game in Gamescom.
Yeah.
And I hope that everyone will going to like the PV and waiting for the more news that we're going to release in the future. Yeah.
Well, so tell us what's this all about? Project Mugen. This is it's kind of an urban open world game.
Yep, it is. It's,
Project Mugen.
The anime style, art style, but based on urban, real life cityscope, kind of the big world, and so that to enable the users, players can to explore the world.
So what is this world? What is this city that we're looking at right here?
Yeah, I think this is we need to go back to the original idea that the
Spider-Man?
producer and the original production team they want to do is that they want to bring the urban life to urban city to life because they believe that during the urban people will see a lot of things that you see every day and you are very familiar with. But on top of that, we will have something abnormal phenomenon we build behind the normal city, so that you will find there's some conflict between the reality and something abnormal, and this can bring the tension behind that, so that people can experience something like the watch the firework. And maybe you can see the movie in the game, and you can also enjoy some of the coffee shops like in the game. But also at the same time, you can explore and identify some story behind that. So this is what we want to do. And
so we're seeing a lot of characters here. Who are these? Who are the main characters, and what are they trying to accomplish?
Duże nogi.
Yeah, we do have in this PVU.
Big Booba to również.
Here, and each of them are very different. Have some special identities there. For example, we have a bunny girl. You can see that she's a very funny girl, and also she has a warhammer as a weapon, and also it's a vehicle for him to move in the city. And also we have another following heroes we are developing, and it's on the way.
I think we're seeing some of the combat here. Can you talk about how the combat's going to work?
Oh yes, so far we have developed a different combat style here. It's not only
Ale tamta laska, kurde, ten z czerwieni włosami chyba miała katanę, nie?
Identity, but also we have some special weapons here. For example, we have the baseball bat that can spray flames, and also maybe a yo-yo that can change size, and you can leverage this kind of thing as a weapon to battle with your enemies. And also we have special movement here. So if you combine the movement and the special weapon together, you will find or create some interesting combination during the battle. Yeah.
Is it true you're able to make use of sort of elements in the environment
Yes, of course. Yeah, of course. You can see from the PV that you can always leverage the elements from the environment. And you for example, some character can use mind power to control some elements. For example, the trash can and cars to hit or to beat the enemies. So it's really freedom.
So is it all in this one city, or do we ever go beyond the city limits?
This is so far we have built this thing in one city, but we have more and more cities map we are developing right now. And so at the end, I cannot tell that it's there is one city game or a multiple city game.
Sure.
Yeah.
Can you give us a rough idea of just how big the city is?
I think it's hard to say now because the team is working very hard, developing more and more elements in the city and build a bigger city map right now. And this really depends on the time and the work behind that. Yeah.
Can you talk about the traversal mechanics a little bit? We see characters swinging, there's some parkour, there's some wall running. It seems like there's a lot of different ways to get around the city.
Yeah, I think this is idea from the production team that they want to provide different unlimited movement for players to enjoy, to explore the city. So you can see there's a parkour, kind of the free running, and also the swinging like Spider-Man in the city, and so that can
jak Spider-Man, dobrze mówię. Vibe Spider-Manowe.
with a different side angle, and also to experience that when you are swinging fast between the different building, that kind of very exciting experience. And also we have a different.
Nie, to jest katana, nie? Katana chyba tam trzymała.
So you can choose either you doing the climbing the wall, run on the roof of the building, or even you ride a vehicle or motorcycle in the city and to explore it. Yeah.
So outside of combat, what other activities can our characters do in the city?
Yeah, we will have first of all, we will trying to bring those normal life activity into the city. For example, you can see the live house there, and also you can go to a cinema with your companies and to enjoy to watch a movie there. And on the other hand, there we have built a chaos abnormal phenomenon here. So you as a we call it the infinite trigger. The players code infinite trigger, and you can to investigate all the abnormal case behind that.
So Project Mugen, what does that mean? What is Mugen?
Okay, Mugen actually, it's I think this is from the producer's idea because Mugen is a word that means infinite. So it's quite in line with our concept. We want to build an infinite world here.
Project Infinite, or Mugen, yeah.
Mugen is a kind of similar pronunciation with Chinese 无限, which is also the meaning of infinite.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So it has a very cool look, very cool like anime art style. Can you sort of talk about how you landed on the look of the game, the visual identity of it?
This is because the team is really a big fan of the anime, and they are trying to bring their idea to life. So they have very strong strengths on this art style. So that's why they build on this, and also because it's not a it's not real art style. So this leaves us a room to introduce some abnormal or strange characters, or maybe some strange phenomena that into this world. It will make it not so weird.
Very cool. Yeah. Well, Project Mugen, it's looking awesome. When are we going to get to play it?
We are still in developing this game, so also I'm very eager to see how it will going to be. But we will have some news to release once we have be ready to show to the players, and I hope that everyone can join the world and to give us feedback to help us to optimize the game, fine tune the game. Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much for coming by the IGN studio here.
Yeah, thank you so much, team.
Okay, you can pre-register for Project Mugen right now, so go do that and keep watching IGN for all things Project Mugen. We've got lots more right ahead here on Gamescom Studios, so stick around.
Exclusive. Co to macie ekskluzywnego?
What's up, Cobra fans? Welcome to Cobra's Corner. Is this for real? Yes.
Siema, Angela.
Three huge game developers
Po treningu, nice. A, my powolutku dobijamy do przeglądu Gamescoma znowu.
Not this, but actually this. It's not laying around on a screen. We do have ex-Navy SEALs coming down. We need the best of the best. Anybody can play. You just got to be brave enough to take a bullet.
Take the bullet.
He wants to know if it hurts. Of course it hurts.
Zajadasz pierogi z kefirem posypane pieprzem i papryką. Okej. Smacznego w takim układzie.
There's a chance for fortune. I need you to take her down to Midtown Harbor. Do not up. You can also... Oh, God. Hey, look at me. Welcome to me, fans. Click me. Like me. I don't care. Watch me. Don't watch me. I'm over this whole thing.
Gunzilla.
Don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button at the bottom of the screen.
Video games have borrowed quite a bit from Neil Blomkamp's movies, and now he's working on one of his own, and we just got our first look at what looks like in action, and here to tell us all about it, Off the Grid, Chief Visionary Officer at Gunzilla Games, Neil Blomkamp. Welcome, dude. Thanks
Off the
for coming
Grid.
back.
Ooh.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, this is like an annual tradition now.
I know.
We sit here all year and wait for you to show up, and you finally come in. Okay, so we found out that this game has a 60-hour campaign, but it's also a 150-player multiplayer game. How on earth does that work?
Well, I mean, we still have to make sure it can work, but the idea basically is in the middle of a battle royale, you would be able to choose to go on specific missions, and as you execute those missions, you get basically cinematic cutscenes that expand on characters and expand on the world, and you can kind of opt into it or not. But we obviously want to make it as compelling as possible.
Does that mean like someone come up behind you and shoot you in the head while you're watching a cutscene, or?
No, that's a big part of it is to try to figure out how to isolate the player. So like, I mean, obviously the battle royale continues.
Right.
You're basically locked away for a minute or, you know, a minute 30. And then, you know, I mean, we're curious to see if we can make it work.
I genuinely love the transparency on that. That's really cool.
Now we got to look at some traversal here, and it looks pretty sweet. You've got jetpacks, you got grappling hooks, you got big ass APCs. Can you tell us a little bit about sort of how much of this stuff is stuff found on the playing field? How much of it is player upgrades? What are we sort of working towards between rounds?
Well, there's a lot of it is found on the battlefield, and like obviously, you know.
Jezus Maria, rajd rowerowy 63 km? Mój Boże święty.
And so it's from very, very exotic and rare all the way over to like more common. I think one of the things that, you know, when I came on, one of the things that Gunzilla had already figured out that I loved was this idea of cyberlimbs. And it's like you see customization all the time, obviously with weapons, and you see it with skins, but it kind of ends there. There's this whole other element with limbs that the game has that I think is super, super interesting. So making those rare items that can be, you know, gathered in the island is important.
No, dla mnie to jest dużo.
What's the sort of like creation process like in terms of developing these limb upgrades? Like how crazy do you get?
Ale tak, owszem, są większe jeszcze, ale no, 63 to i tak dużo.
Well, I mean, so Vlad Korolev, who is the CEO, is massively influential in the way the game design occurs. Like he's an exceptionally obsessive gamer, and is very knowledgeable about what he thinks the best way is to implement gameplay. And one thing that he was adamant about was that the cyberlimbs cannot be weapons, right? They can't be guns themselves. Right. The whole, whatever we do, it has to revert back to being able to have hands and be able to hold weapons. So the weapon is sort of more familiar or traditional to the traditional gamer, right? The cyberlimb then becomes a little bit more exotic in what you can do with it, but as long as it isn't a weapon. So initially we were thinking along, you know, fairly traditional lines, and then as we expand, hopefully we can start introducing more and more crazy.
I like that rule because it sort of like paints you into a specific corner.
Yeah, it's clever.
Yeah, you have to be creative to get your way out of. I like that.
Now, can we talk about this guy in the trailer? What's his deal? What's his story?
Sholto. So,
oh, awesome.
We were wondering.
No. So Sholto's in Off the Grid. He's actually okay. Let me explain the background and the lore, because the background to the game is actually I totally love what we've come up with. So, the idea is about 30 or 40 years from now, 3 game companies, it may be game companies, you know, that we're sort of like kind of familiar with, buy an island in the Pacific, okay? And once they've purchased the island in the Pacific, they also go out and purchase resuscitation technology from the US military. So when you go to the island for real and you suit up, you can opt to have your limbs cut off, you get cyber limbs. So the idea would be Twitch streamers and gamers actually go there to challenge one another, right? To a real-life battle royale. And then you die, and you get injected with resuscitation nanobots, and then they bring you back to life. So if you were to make a film or a TV show out of it, you'd have people in hospital beds recovering, because it's like probably a 5-month recovery of like growing your limbs again.
Right.
And sort of tweeting about how the experience was, right? Or they'd win. They could also, obviously, they could win as well.
So it's kind of a game. It's a game within a game.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And that means that some of the missions and the stuff in the cutscenes that we're doing are actually, it's almost like the Running Man. Like they're synthetic. But then you've got real missions behind the synthetic missions where maybe some of the game designers have an actual mission that they've sent you on, right? So Sholto, his character's name is Cobra. He got lobotomized and got turned into what the companies think is the ultimate Twitch streamer.
Okay.
Himself. As soon as the cameras stop rolling, he'll just sort of sit there blank and not know who he is. So he's like, it's all personality with basically nothing. So a lot of what you'll begin to do is learn about his backstory.
Yeah, I'm so into all of that.
Something I love in the original Battle Royale novel or the movie. There's always there's an announcer.
The
who comes
Japanese
on.
one.
Yeah. And it's like it's something that's I feel like is sort of missing from the actual game genre. Will he be like giving updates on the state of the game? Like is he sort of narrating?
Yeah, that's exactly what we want to do. And I mean, obviously the original Battle Royale, which is an amazing film, it's kind of imagine if you took that film but you switched out the school kids with everyone who thought that they were, if you were to make a film out of it, everyone who thought they were tough or they were able to actually compete. So it would draw in the best actual gamers. It would draw in ex-Special Forces guys. It would draw in bouncers. It would draw in it could be anyone. It could be an accountant who just wants to see how he does. Yeah. So
just bored.
Yeah, it's like PUBG in real life.
Yeah. Now, I feel like the first stuff we saw of this was very, very gritty. It looked awesome, but we get a lot of gritty, tough games, and since then we've gotten a lot of very funny stuff like Just Deal with Delia. We've got Cobra here. Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about sort of finding the right tonal balance while still giving players control of the situation? Because obviously, I mean, you kind of cover for that with the sort of the meta style of it, but
tonally it took a while to narrow in exactly on the tone that we have now, which I think is perfect because it has a little bit of not a little bit, it's overtly satirical now.
Right.
So it's and I mean you can't have a real world battle royale without it being satirical, right? So it is satire, but then it's satire mixed with the kind of real world cyberpunk tone of Elysium. It's some mixture of those two things. So all of the hardcore imagery still holds. I mean, most of our stuff is based on this now. And then there's a sort of a societal or a sort of socio-satirical layer that's woven into it.
I love it. Unreal Engine 5.
Yeah.
You're a filmmaker. This is one of the most powerful engines ever. It's being used in films. So what's it like working with that? How exciting is that prospect?
Well, I mean, my own history is in 3D graphics and VFX. So I initially had a real interest in games because they're a way to build 3D environments and sort of light them and drop, not even a player, just drop someone into that environment and feel it, which is the most interesting part of 3D graphics to me. So the idea that it's real time and the idea that it can do the level of fidelity that it can do, and you can watch artists relight stuff and you can watch shadows and even bouncing light and radiosity move. It's just very, very cool. But we've also created now 40 or 50 minutes of footage in Unreal. So that pipeline is getting worked out better and better, day by day.
Awesome. Neil, thank you so much, man. This
thank you,
Off the Grid looks incredible. Every time we see you, there's more and more to look at here, and I'm just more and more excited about it. So thanks for swinging by.
Yeah, thank you.
Off the Grid will be out soon.
Czy jestem z obozu Sony, czy Xboxa? Jak już to Sony, nie? Xboxa nigdy nie miałem, więc ciężko mi powiedzieć. Ale jak już to Sony, nie? Aktualnie.
Go watch Chappie.
Yeah, go watch Chappie. We always talk about Chappie. We need more people to talk about Chappie with. Go watch Chappie.
Excellent journalism.
Thank you. More Gamescom Studio right after this, so stick around.
We're here at the Black Myth Wukong booth because we just played it. Matt, what did you think?
Well, I think there was always a suspicion this was going to be game of the show, right? And I've not played everything at the show, but it's certainly my game of the show.
It was really, really fun. What they had on display today was 4 bosses.
Yeah.
And they have a challenge for you to defeat all of them.
Yeah.
We almost got 2.
Almost got 2. Well,
yeah.
Almost 3 between us, because I played a boss that you didn't, and you mostly played a boss that I mostly didn't. But yeah, these bosses they're very much within the Souls category. I think if you played a Souls game, you're going to be familiar. but they've definitely got a different take on it, right? There's no blocking. This is, you play this monkey character that has the staff, and it's entirely about the offense, and mostly then dodging from that point on, and the fact that you've not got that block makes it a very different combat proposition, and those bosses are sort of Sekiro-like in many ways, but without that block, they are tough.
Yeah, everything is really, really fast-paced. You have these magical abilities that you can activate. What were some of your favorites that you found yourself using?
So there's one which, you know, as someone that's played a lot of Elden Ring recently, I really liked one where you could summon in a gang of monkeys to attack, which was almost a little bit like having my Mimic tier back. But actually there was a Ring of Fire, which I really, really enjoyed using. I saw you use it more than me. But when you put down this Ring of Fire,
Wiele wyjaśnia,
against this monkey boss we were
A co wyjaśnia konkretnie?
it meant that like he was scared of the fire.
Także żyje w obozie Sony?
Giving you that precious time to like drink from the gourds, get my health back, and then basically stop.
Bez jakiejś większej opinii, szczerze powiedziawszy. Mało gram akurat na playaku w ostatnie lata. Ostatnio co ogrywałem to co? God of War Ragnarok? Przy którym w sumie wymieniałem dysk na SSD ze zwykłego twardziela talerzowego. Ale na bank mam jeszcze sporo tytułów, w których chciałbym pograć tam na konsoli. Mówię, czasu trochę brakuje.
But he's got what essentially look like massive maracas that generate lightning. And so kind of about midway through the fight, sort of where you'd expect your stage 2 to start, he starts drumming with them and it creates these rhythmic patterns and you have to leap over the thunder waves they create. And it's almost slightly Guitar Hero-like in that like you have to learn the rhythm and start doing the bounces with it. And I thought that, along with, you know, many other attacks that you have to learn, and he's a bit slower than some of the other fights we were doing. Like the macaque was very, very fast. That tiger you fought was super fast.
Yeah.
He was slower than them, but he packed a punch, and so it was that learning how to, you've got to dodge. Like one hit from him was like more or less game over.
Yeah, the tiger boss that I got a chance to encounter, he was probably the toughest boss out of all the ones that I got to play. Very, very fast. He would turn that stone move I mentioned earlier on me, so if I hit him, I would get staggered, and he would attack me from a different angle because it was a decoy. Man, this game has so many interesting facets to it that any player is going to dive into, and I was saying that it's going to be great when we see the high-level players really, really get
Oh, absolutely. Kind of like, you know, from Elden Ring, we all know that watching people fight Melania was the highlight of the community for that, seeing sort of like, let me solo her, get that game so high. And I can't wait to see what the high-level bosses in this are. And the sort of moves that, like, there is clearly a move set that I've not touched in there. Sort of like, I feel so novice at the moment. But I can't wait to see people that master that staff and learn how to do all sorts of cool moves with it.
One other thing we were talking about was the palette differed from stage to stage.
Yeah.
It wasn't like one note, it wasn't all gray. Was there one that stuck out to you?
So I would say sort of like I was playing, we got to play a full stage which was in kind of like a very dusty sort of Dust Bowl environment with collapsed statues. That was good, but I would say kind of like its level design wasn't particularly fully interesting at that point. But what I will say is when we moved into the mountain area, which was covered in this beautiful snow that deforms as you walk through it in real time, whilst we only got to see a very small amount of that level, it did look gorgeous.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for the snow level. The Tiger King boss level, it's in this gorgeous like shrine with all these statues surrounding it, and we just stopped for a second and just looked at what the level designers had created, and I love that. Like any game that makes you just stop and take notice for a few seconds, they're doing something right.
Oh yeah, you can tell it's on next gen tech.
Yeah. Unreal Engine 5, really excited about that. So overall thoughts, Black Myth Wukong.
Yeah, so far my game in the show, I've not played everything here, but this really, I love Sekiro, I love Bloodborne, this really spoke to my sensibilities.
Yeah. Well, are you hyped for Black Myth Wukong? Let us know in the comments below, and for more on all things gaming and Gamescom, keep it right here with IGN.
Be there.
Be there.
Don't know where it races. Talking RE, the social and Crash Bandicoot. Stay on IGN Overdue sequel and IGN Games on YouTube.
Coming next year in February, one of the most beloved real-time strategy games gets a long overdue sequel. Here to tell us all about Homeworld 3, please welcome Martin Cyrillus, lead writer, and Lance Mueller.
Homeworld 3.
Thank you.
So, It's been 20 years since Homeworld 2. What was it like to come back to the universe and pick up the story where it left off?
Exciting. Homeworld is my first love. It's the first project I worked on. And to come back and have everything there and to be surrounded by people who are excited about it as I am, who are as steeped in the lore as I am, has been a wonderful experience. I've really deeply enjoyed it.
Were there storylines from back
Wieki temu grałem w dwójkę?
that you were able to pick up again?
Yeah, actually, I've kept my hand in here and there. I wrote some work for Deserts of Carrick. The universe just feels good, and there's themes that were great to explore and take further than we had in the past.
So what can fans expect from the story in Homeworld 3?
You can expect a game that goes further and farther than previous Homeworld, one that examines things we set up and the implications, and you can expect to deal with a galactic level threat.
That sounds very serious. Any familiar faces that fans will recognize?
Yes, though I cannot speak of them now.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very tantalizing. Can you tell us about any new protagonists in Homeworld 3?
There's the enemy, the Incarnates, and their leader, the Queen. And they are a very dark expression of certain things in the Homeworld universe. And like I said, it's not hyperbole. They represent a threat that can remake the galaxy. And the player and the characters with you are the only thing standing in their way.
Is this a game where you have a created named protagonist, or do players create their own character?
Names are created.
Okay.
Play along.
Okay. So let's talk about War Games. It's a new mode?
Yes.
Homeworld 3? What's and I think it's inspired by roguelites, actually, is that right?
Yeah, so War Games is a 3-player cooperative experience where you're able to go into sequential missions. You'll be playing a run, 3 missions in a row, that'll pull from a pool of random levels and random objectives as you go into it. So the first mission, you'll come in, you'll be given a random objective that you and your team have to either succeed or fail. Once you've done that and you've succeeded,
Czy lubię, to może trochę za dużo powiedziane. Ja często czasu gdzieś tam kiedyś pogrywałem. Jak już to głównie Homeworld, jedynka, dwójka, Master of Orion? Nie wiem, czy to w sumie było takie kosmiczne, ale tak mi się wydaje, że chyba tak. Master of Orion dwójkę ściekałem, ile wlezie. To mi się giga podobało, nie?
You'll make it as far as you can.
Sure.
Elite Dangerous próbowałem, ale tak... Jak 4 nie grałem, Star Citizen nie tykałem.
They'll start blowing everything out of the sky, and your buddy's got, you know, assault frigates or ion frigates that are just lasering everything out of the sky, and you just come together to make that perfect run, and you work your way to the final mission, which is kind of a little boss fight. We don't want to spoil too much, but there's unique objectives in there.
Yeah, w Master of Orion 2.
You'll actually have to fight something, and hopefully you'll win.
So since it's roguelite, is there anything persistent from run to run? Anything that carries over?
So right now we have a meta that you'll be able to...
To się wsysałem, ile wlezie, godzinami.
Objectives, you'll be getting meta progression, and you'll be unlocking new fleets, new artifacts that'll be able to use in your next run.
Chyba najbardziej...
You and your friends.
So when you were starting
Nawet od Homeworlda.
Where did the idea for the War Games mode even come from?
So for us, you know, we're really excited about what everybody's doing, all the developers in this space, and what they're doing is super inspiring for us. So what we took, you know, we took that and we looked at it at our skirmish mode, and we were like, can we bring some of this energy that these are bringing to Homeworld 3 and to an RTS? And really, War Games is the expression of that thought experiment.
Is there any part of War Games 3 that's actually in the campaign mode, or is it completely separate?
So a lot of the units that will cross over, and you'll be using, you know, a subset of that.
Ja nawet nie pamiętam, czy w Master of Orion 3 próbowałem grać. Nie kojarzę, chyba nie. Jeśli nie kojarzę, to znaczy, że nie.
The homeworld they know and love, the amazing story that Barnes Sorellis is putting together. But for the War Games, we really want to be able to do a little bit more, which is a little outside of the homeworld specific vein, but adds a little bit more engagement and variability.
So I like RTS games. I've played a lot of RTS games. I've never played the Homeworld games. I know that they're beloved, very highly rated on IGN, in fact. What is it? What do you think it is that is sort of the hook? What's the unique aspect to this RTS game?
For me, it's really the cinematic, visceral combat of the game. You come in, it's very low APM, so for anybody who wants to get into an RTS that doesn't, you don't have the micro, you can micro to a certain extent, but a lot of the units, they just flow. You feel like you're commander of a fleet, and you have a pilot, and they know their job. They're a pilot. They go out, they fly the plane, they make sure they work within terrain and cover. And so for me, I think really Homeworld allows players to enjoy a narrative experience first with good gameplay and amazing spectacle and fully.
Jest jeszcze jakaś inna gierka, w którą chciałem grać. Jak ona się nazywa? Everspace? 1 plus 2? Pominęliście na pewno też.
Diablo 4. Do you think it's a time for the RTS genre to sort of make a comeback as well?
100%. We love the RTS genre. Blackbird Interactive has made a bunch of different RTSs, and we would love to see more, not just us, but everybody getting into the RTS space. It's a wonderful place, and we love it.
Since it has been 20 years since Homeworld 2, how are you thinking about onboarding players that didn't play the previous games?
So we've actually been working really hard on making sure that we have a tutorial that is engaging, but also informative, using good modern conventions. If you played Homeworld when it first came out, you almost needed like a physics degree to be able to understand how to control everything. We're really focused on bringing that whole franchise to 2023. So knowing RTS standards, modern day accessibility and usability, UX design. So we want to make sure it's available for anybody to pick up and play.
Thank you so much for coming by the IGN studio here.
No problem.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Homeworld 3 will be coming home in February next year on PC. Until then, there's lots more Gamescom studio right here on IGN.
Hey there, I am Seth Macy coming to you from Gamescom 2023 here in the Xbox booth. We have Towerborn behind us, and I am joined by
Arnie Jorgensen. I'm the Chief Creative Officer at Stoic.
Awesome. Could you tell us a little something about Towerborn? What's the lore behind Towerborn?
Sure. The lore behind Towerborn is that you're being born aloft by this giant tower, which is sort of the last bastion of hope for humanity in a world that's been dominated by monsters. So your job is to go out into these wilds and as an
JJ, Littlewood, JJ.
Character, go out into the wilds and kind of defend humanity, bring them back to the tower, and try to escape before the next season comes upon you.
Awesome. And I know the Banner Saga series, which was the preceding games that you worked on, also had sort of a post-apocalyptic end of the world. What is it about
Ten nowy Homeworld w porównaniu do X4 szału nie robi?
This is not lost on me. It's pretty funny that we keep revisiting this, but this one's done in a very different way.
Co cię nie dziwi, bo X4 ma największe bitwy kosmiczne, jak się da wyobrazić. A to trzeba wiele lat ulepszenia kodu, żeby miało ręce i nogi. Być może, być może.
This one's a much more hopeful take on that. This is not even a stress simulator. This is Towerborn is designed to be a really fun game that you can get together with your friends online or sit on a couch, play with your family and friends, and just do a really fun romp. We picture Towerborn as the type of game that you can go play all these other games that we see here, and it's awesome. You're going to be going back and forth, but you'll always kind of return to Towerborn, play a few missions with your friends, work up your gear, empower your weapons, learn more about the story, the evolving storyline that we're telling. So that's kind of the way we see it. It's a game that people will always kind of come back to and check season to season and play more with their family and friends.
I played it yesterday. I had a really good time. And the first thing I noticed was it was a little different than I was expecting, and I won't spoil it. But what are the influences behind the gameplay of Towerborn?
Well, we have some amazing combat designers. So what we're playing here at Gamescom is really a tiny bite of the combat that Towerborn has. And we have the combat designers from Killer Instinct, and the team is just fantastic. So it's a really tight combat experience that people are playing here, but what they're not seeing is a much larger game. You go out into a wide world of a map, and you interface with this map, kind of like a candy shop for yourself. You go out every day, you're going to be finding new things, chests to uncover, bosses, monster clusters, and all these things are affording the player new places to find really cool gear, really cool weapons, and sort of explore the world of Towerborn. Beyond that, we have, obviously the quest system, but it's being written by
Kto pluje na Far Cry'a 1?
Banner Saga, and it's absolutely phenomenal. He's having a really good time writing stuff that's more hopeful, more
Czyli ty
positive than
plujesz na
what
Far
we've
Cry
done in
1?
the past. So it's a very different mood of a game than we've done before.
Bo ja powiedziałem, ja Far Cry 1 zagram, ale jak powstanie remaster.
Tell me a little bit about the weapon system, how that works.
Yeah, sure. The weapon and gear is part of your loadout. So every single piece of gear here, you can find pieces, bring them back to the tower, reforge them with materials that you found to higher and higher levels. So like I'm saying, the gear does that. You can fit it with aspects, which is a mod system. Same thing with the weapons. You can work them up into higher ranges, go find different type of weapons. But the weapons themselves are the class of the character in Towerborn. So if I go out with a sword and shield, that's a certain class. You might go out with a war club. We're going to be launching with multiple different weapons. The interesting thing too, though, is you could have a sword and shield, I could have a sword and shield, and they might have very different abilities. And then even if we had the same type sword and shield, I could build my whole kit to be very different and unique to my gameplay style. So we're having a lot of fun kind of messing around with that. These are the deep ARPG mechanics that we're adding to the genre that feel really new and refreshing.
Awesome. The world evolves as you play the game. Could you explain how that system works a little?
So there's deep answers to this, and I'm going to try to make it as short as I can, just for the viewership here. But the world's going to be evolving as the players play, and I've worked on a lot of MMOs in my past. That's what we come from, is a background of MMOs and large-scale development. And we've always promised players, like, oh, the story's going to be evolving based on, how you guys, digest it and all that. And it's a very hard thing to do. I can kind of consider it the holy grail of game design. So we built our map system and our quests and missions from the ground up, being heavily modifiable. Season by season, we're going to be splaying out a whole new map, and we can do it very quickly with a tool set. We can include all the new materials, all the new weapons, all the new enemies, biomes, bosses, and we can very quickly seed them into this new map, and then designers and artists can go in and hand tweak whatever we need to for the new evolving storyline that we've got. But it's a very I want to say simple, but it's a very easy to use system, and we can very quickly respond to player feedback. We're really excited about that. That's kind of one of those underlying things that we don't talk about much, but it's exciting to developers.
Awesome. Is there anything else that you'd like to say about Towerborn that maybe we didn't get to?
I may have said this before, but ultimately, at its base level, the big thing that we wanted to do when we started Towerborn was say we want to make a fun game for players to play with their friends or family, from young kids all the way up to old, and everybody enjoy it. The storyline isn't talking down to kids. It's not, boring for it to, we're really hitting something here that I think is special. I have a 6-year-old, a 13-year-old, a 17-year-old. We're playing it. We're having a blast. I mean, my 6-year-old can mash buttons through missions, and, he can do the easier missions. The more difficult missions, of course, take a higher skill set, but we have a blast. And that's what we're seeing here, is that players enjoying it to the same level that we were hoping for. So it feels really good to us.
That's awesome. Well, if you are here at Gamescom 2023, stop by the Xbox booth, stop by Towerborn. You can play it. It is actually very fun. I played it yesterday. This is IGN, and make sure to keep it here for the rest of Gamescom, because we got plenty more.
You're watching Gamescom Studio, powered by IGN. Age of Darkness: The Final Stand is a real-time strategy survival game that turns the genre upside down.
Poglądałabyś Starfielda u mnie? Póki hype jest?
New trailer just for you. Check it out.
Peggy 16.
Pewnie pogram później. Zdecydowanie później. Age of Darkness. Final Stand.
Vizago and the Volatists offer freedom and power. Goodbye.
We must inform the Bishop of Vizago's return and assemble a force to stop him.
Dark crystal essence is the key to our power.
Yes, power. Infinite power. Give me more power.
For a lunatic, as you wish. Your time is over. We cannot be stopped.
Aurelia, come back with me, girl. It's not too late. I'm sorry I can't be who you want me to be.
Well, friends, we reached the end of Saturday's Gamescom studio show powered by IGN. If you want a recap of any of the announcements...
I elegancko zakończyliśmy kolejny dzień Gamescomu i w sumie zostało nam jeszcze jeden dzień, ale to pewnie w weekend sobie poogarniamy, a na chwilę obecną to tyle.